People with those stereotypical ghetto names. How has your life been affected? Not quite ghetto, but my last name is Chronic. Pronounced chronic. I get tons of praise from potheads during roll calls. Probably too late to get in on the conversation, but I grew up with brother-sister twins named Mercedes-Benz Jones and Coupe DeVille Jones. Not real last name. They went by Mercy and Cooperative. They were fine. Only a problem was when they came across a teacher who thought they were lying about their real names. To be fair, Mercedes used to be a fairly common name among Spanish speakers. My first name is hideous. Shakina. It rhymes with vagina, despite my mother's attempts to pronounce it with a long E. When I was 9, I was adopted and my adoptive parents changed my name to something equally hideous, but whiter. I go by my birth middle name or a bastardization of my adopted first name. When people ask my name, I have to stop and think before I answer because I sometimes can't remember what name they know me by. I don't get job offers back if I use my real first name. People are either disappointed that I'm not super ghetto or feel the need to express their relief. Either one is pretty tiresome. Should have changed it to Dolores. My best friend's name is Abba, as in the band. Made no difference to her life, but people do always ask her about it. She even put take a chance on me on a job application where she was applying for a job she was underqualified for in a company she was working in. I was having a big problem with my health insurance coverage. I called, got shuffled around, got disconnected, and no one I talked to seemed to be able to even understand the fairly simple, yet oh so costly to me, situation. On about the 6th phone call, I hear, "Thank you for calling fake insurance company name. My name is Shanika. How can I help you?" Shanika proceeded to instantly comprehend the problem I was calling about, already putting her a step above every one of her co-workers. Fix the immediate problem and find a long-term solution. She followed up with the healthcare provider, and before the day was out their billing department called me to tell me all was fine and to disregard their bill. The next day Shanika called me back to make sure everything was resolved to my satisfaction. I will never underestimate a Shanika again. Frick yeah Shanika, do work. Okay, I realize this is very loosely related and isn't a ghetto name at all, but here goes. When I was a substitute teacher last year, I had a kid in one of my classes named Anise, pronounced Nis. While calling roll call, obviously I was an idiot and pronounced it Anus. Ugh. My face turned tomato red. It was hilarious and mortifying all at once. But the kid was cool about it and it seemed as though it happened frequently. Poor kid. TLDR. Mispronunciation. Called a kid anus while substitute teaching. I don't know if my name qualifies as ghetto, but yeah, I'm Keisha, or, as I've actually been referred to once or twice, White Keisha, because I'm white. My boss told me the other day that when I first started work, he was disappointed to find out I wasn't a sassy black girl. Thanks, I guess. I'm a white young woman, dark blonde hair and blue eyes. My first name is Chenoa. It's pronounced Chanoa. If people learn my name before they meet me, they assume that I am either black or, less commonly, Asian. People can never pronounce it correctly on the first try. There are generally several iterations of me saying my name, them repeating it, me saying it again so they can get closer to saying it right, them repeating, and again. Oh lord, the nicknames. So many ways you can make my name into words, like slurring and saying something about snow or chano are some of the most common. Generally, I get asked what it means, where it comes from, and why the heck my parents gave me the name. I often get tired of telling all the stories and answering all the questions. When I eat out or go somewhere where a server asks for your name, I just go with Jane, a bastardization of my middle name, which is more common but still gives people trouble. I keep considering simply changing the name I go by in the workplace. I still think I may when I next change jobs. It keeps me from having to jump through all the aforementioned hoops every time I meet someone new. I love my name, just not everything that comes with it. TLDR. White girl with a weird name is tired of being interrogated about it by everyone she meets. I would have guessed that you were Native American, but never Asian. How strange. I was a Mormon missionary in Baltimore a few years back, and I had a companion named Tyrone. who was the whitest kid imaginable, but from buttfuck Idaho. When we were out tracting in the ghettos, people always just shout who dat, and if you reply, it's the elders or it's the missionaries, people wouldn't come to the door. So he'd start saying it's Tyrone. People would come to the door seeing the whitest thing since Wonder Bread and get confused, then inevitably respond with you ain't no Tyrone and slam the door. It's so funny. My name is Asia, which according to Freakonomics is, or was, the 9th blackest name in America. Since I'm young, it really hasn't affected me as much. I don't know how naming children after continents, countries, cities, etc. is viewed on Reddit, but the only real way my life has been affected is by having multiple people with the same name in my class in elementary, which is probably common among people with common names. I graduated with both Australia and America. That was interesting. I taught a kid named Notorious, not even spelled right. I mean, does he really have the same chances as a William? You know who I'd love to hire today? Notorious. He sounds trustworthy as frick. And yeah, he was crappy, in case you were wondering. I knew a kid named Curiosity. Her sister is named Denise. I knew this girl Tiny C, and she hated her name because she knew it would be hard to be taken seriously in the job world. Right off the bat people would know her race and assume she was ghetto. She said when she turns 18 she's changing her name to Ty. Yeah, because Ty is notoriously professional sounding. White guy here with the middle name of Dion. I couldn't get a call back on a job to save my life when Dion was in my resume's email address. Changed it and the calls started coming in. I know a white guy with the middle name Lamar. You should look up What's in a Name or something by the Freakonomics guys. They have a podcast and a few books. I am also eager to hear personal stories though. There was a kid in my kindergarten class named Chastity. Weird kid. Her parents were supposedly doctors but never sent the kid with any food, maybe half a donut for all day. She'd end up begging for food and eating paste. She left after kindergarten. Poor thing. I hope she didn't end up with some sort of long-lasting problem. When I was a high school English teacher, there was a girl on my roster named Knowledge. I never met her because she never showed up to class. I guess she didn't need you then. I went to elementary and junior high schools whose student body populations were 80% black. So I've obviously got a lot of friends with stereotypical black names. And, well, to a person they all live completely normal middle class lives. Chantilly is an ultrasound technician. Toymaka is a route salesperson for Coca-Cola. Shonda is an administrative assistant. Jawanda is a behavioral therapist. Kiana is a customer service rep. Shanique is a teacher. I'm sure they've all had problems with racist fools, but this is 2014 and we all live in urban areas, Houston, DFW, San Antonio, so it's essentially a non-issue. I mean, we live in a time when our president is named Barack and a former secretary of state is named Condoleezza. It's time to quit pretending names are the problem instead of how people react to them. Condoleezza is a very good example of how we can get used to unique names. I went to high school with a girl named Bubblegum. Not sure how it's affected her in life cause we kinda lost touch after graduating, but I do remember her trying to change it. Yes, my name is Hitler, Irving Eugene Hitler, other than every single teacher pausing before finishing reading my name on the first day of school, and a few jokes during history classes. It's really not been a problem. In fact, in some cases my name is an advantage. When I argue politics or something else controversial on Reddit or elsewhere, inevitably someone will say, if you support that, you're literally being Hitler. I can then reply yes. Yes I am. This usually confuses the heck out of the other person, and he usually shuts up for a while. I win so many debates this way. My surname isn't so bad, I actually kind of like it. Mine is Misty Dawn. Not ghetto, but definitely trailer park stripper. When I was expecting my daughter, I looked up Misty in a baby name book. It said fortunately, the name had retired in the 80s and now only applied to strippers and horses. I worked with a woman named Cialis. She'd had that name for 30 years with no problems. Then the drug companies came out with the drug Silas and ruined her life forever. We would constantly ask her husband if Cialis was right for him. I work at a job that typically hires low-income African American people. I do the account creation for these individuals and some of the names are pretty out there. Off the top of my head we have Urutha, Cheetara, Capricious, Tashanaqua, Bianca, Pudding, Pumpkin, and Shah Vegas. On the opposite end of this, I went to school with a girl named Moonbeam. Everyone called her Molly. She was actually pretty normal from what I remember, but being a pretty white girl can adjust that normal bias in the eyes of a young boy, so she may not have been as normal as I remembered. I teach in an inner city school district. I've had students named the oldest, Crayola, Crayola, Damon, Damien, Freaka, Arian, Raven the finest bird, and every combination of Quesha and Shondas you could believe. I've had students nearly sob filling out college applications for 2 reasons. 1. They know their name might automatically count them out of the running. 2. They usually run out of room for their full legal names. Furthermore, they usually ask me to call them by a nickname because they hate their own names. My first name is Lucretia and it usually gets dismissed as one of 2 things, a ghetto black girl name or a made up name to make you sound more goth. I go by a shortened version as having to repeat how it's pronounced is tiring. I don't like it and was teased a lot for it. I worked with a woman named Keisha. She told me that her real name was La Keisha, but that she dropped the La because she didn't think it was going to help her get ahead in life. You'd like to think that people who look at your resume are looking only at your qualifications, but when a couple of white people are looking at resumes and they see Grace Smith at the top of one and LaKeisha Smith at the top of the other, racism is going to creep in. Even if the white people deny it, some of them are not going to give LaKeisha a chance. I've been in hiring situations enough to see it happen. I work with a girl who dropped the La too, which I thought was smart. Seriously, OP, no serious tag, you're just asking for shenanigans. I know a certain 50-foot crustacean from the Paleolithic era that's likely to rear its ugly head. Next time, please use a serious tag for questions like this. This is an interesting topic and I wouldn't want no goddamn Loch Ness monster to derail discussion. With that said, I'll answer anyways. My name is pretty much as ghetto as it gets. It has never caused me any troubles in life except for during high school. Specifically, there was one student, for the sake of anonymity, we'll call her Vanessa Lockman, who would go out of her way to make life heck for me. She'd always make fun of me for my name, call me a trash peasant, called my parents ignorant for giving me my name, etc. One day, she had found some book that listed the most common names for poorer people, and my name was in there. She circled my name on it, made photocopies, and posted them up around the school. Largely thanks to her, I resented my classmates, my parents, and people in general for a large majority of my teens. But then about 20 years later, I was back at my hometown visiting my parents. I was driving to the grocery store to pick up some stuff when I saw her. It was Vanessa, and she was begging for money on the side of the street. She looked in bad shape. I parked my car, went up to her, and asked, "Is your name Vanessa?" She turned and looked straight at me. It was like she was seeing me for the first time. Her mouth opened, her hand shook, and her eyes widened. She grabbed me by the shoulders, leaned in close to my ear, and whispered, "Imani about tree fiddy." It was then that I noticed she was a 50-foot crustacean from the Paleolithic era. True story. I didn't think you'd do this. I mean, you warned me in the beginning, but still. Not ghetto, but I have an Eastern European name because I was born in Europe. I live in America now, and it is hard for Americans to pronounce my name. I do what most from my country do. I gave myself an English name that is the best equivalent and sounds the closest to my real name, and I go by that name when interacting with Americans. It is much more convenient in Starbucks and whatever, because I only have to say my name once, and not repeat it 100 times and spell it out. My name is Kazin, pronounced Jason but with a K. I don't think it's very ghetto, but no one can ever pronounce it and people never hear me right when I say it. I'm only in high school, but I have always had to deal with no one knowing how to pronounce it, spell it, and awkward introductions when asked to repeat it. It really does suck. Definitely going by a different name when I go to college next fall. I hear ya. I remember in high school kids were being called down to the office for something, and I knew I was on the list. They skipped my name, and actually called the room I was in and asked the teacher to send me down because she couldn't pronounce my name. Condoleezza Rice has a name that is so weird, even other black people mocked her for it all the time, and she became like the 5th most powerful person in the world. She got a very high position in politics, and in the Republican Party, no less. You'd think they would be way less tolerant of unique names than the Democrats would be. Come on people, if you are talking about names originating from black culture, many people would think of names that have actual meanings tracing back to roots in Africa. Ghetto, with quotes mind you, is perfect, because he wants to know about the names of Americanized lower socioeconomic blacks, like Shaquinta, DeToya, Unique, and other gems. I had a student named Shakita. She played violin and was the captain of the basketball team. She had a lot of problems in life as well, but most of that had to do with a not so happy home life. She is now in the army. There's a great Freakonomics piece about distinctly black names, including facts like a search for a more black sounding name is 25% more likely to show as suggest that person has an arrest record, regardless of whether or not that is true. There have been cases of landlords and interviewers throwing away applications because they sound too black, with a control for a generic white name but all the exact same details in the application. Two equally qualified people were not given equal opportunity. The more black names were not even given a chance to interview. Black names and white names are in quotes because it's based on stereotypes. People are free to name their children however they want, and it does not determine the child's worth as a person. I once taught a 3-child class with 2 named Zion, a little black girl, and a little white boy. Race doesn't really determine names, and especially not aptitude. The attitude towards black names on Reddit is going to lead to an invisible stampede of Shanaka and Darius types steering very clear of this post. Also a whole lot of Matthew and Linda types relating their best friend's brother's wife's podiatrist's hilarious tale of lemon jello and orange jello, which totally happened in front of someone I know personally. Shut up, it's not racist, shut up you PC jerk. Where are the black people and the assorted ghetto people? Why aren't they turning up to be pelted with our opinions about their funny stupid names? Never mind, let me tell you about these ignorant low class idiots I heard of who. Next innocuous question. Fat ladies of Walmart, is it possible you had too many kids? If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.